I said, I
Perfect.
can afford 5 hours a week just to help me with stuff. And the way you want to look at things is you want to look at what are the tasks you're doing in your life that are least expensive for you to have someone else do it. So for example, if you spend 2 hours a week mowing your lawn and you can find someone, a kid down the street, a teenager to mow your lawn for $10 an hour, well, 20 bucks, you just saved yourself 2 hours of your time. Now, can you make
Excellent.
more than $10 an hour in that 2 hours? And if you can, boom, like you, that's how you spend your time. So you start at the lowest dollar per hour tasks that are easiest for you to outsource and have someone do, and then you work your way up. And that's
And
how
to
you grow.
elaborate, and to elaborate on that, the world has gotten to the point where we're virtual, and you can find, like right now, if I wanted to find a senior who years ago did not want to trek through the snow or get on the train or maybe have ailments, or they want to be home with their grandkids, I can find a woman who could probably type 80 words a minute standing on top of her head blindfolded, and I can probably hire her. And I saw this happen with one of my friends who was an attorney when this whole thing went down and started to crash. And attorneys are going to be in business forever now with all the
Right.
litigation and all that stuff. He asked his mother, who was 80 something years old, could she help, because she used to be an executive assistant. And he ended up hiring 16 women from her church
Wow.
to work virtually. And they all made him cupcakes and a bunch of food too as well. And he used a massive force of people. And now you can do that too. You can have somebody that you may have worked with years ago, or somebody who is on the other side of the country, other side of the world. They regain 4 hours round trip a day or 3 hours round trip a day traveling, back and forth to work. They still got their day job. They could be helping you doing whatever you're doing. So somebody said the granny crew. Uh, you know, there's a lot of ways to source people, now these days, to help you grow that business, and that's powerful.
Totally. Absolutely. I mean, the message there is you start small, start where you're ready, but build that muscle. Build that outsourcing muscle, build that hiring muscle, even if it's just hiring someone to do 1 hour a week of stuff for you. It just opens up this paradigm. It changes the world for you, where you realize I don't have to do this all myself, that I can get help. And when you get help, things start to
And
happen.
that's when you scale. That's the entire thing of scaling, because a lot of us, we love our business so much, we feel that nobody's going to be able to do it as good as us, and a lot of times they won't.
Right.
And then we get caught working in the business instead of on the business.
Right.
And when you work on the business, you understand how to scale people, then you understand how to scale manufacturing, you understand how to scale sourcing for finance, you understand how to scale marketing, and that's the things you need.
Totally. Yep. Amen. I mean, that's it. You start doing all the jobs, and then you want to start giving away all the jobs one at a time until you're able to actually be that CEO and like you said, work on the business instead of in the business. Yep.
And I hate to break it to you, you may end up finding people that are actually better at your job than you are, and you can sleep at night. So another question about one last thing about quizzes. Does
Yeah.
this work in your personal life when you're having meetings in person with people? Because a lot of people may use that quiz stuff for dating or closing deals or in person. I mean, why would it work here and not work there?
Well, that's what's beautiful about this. So what we're doing with the quiz is you are approximating the same type of one-on-one conversation you would naturally have with someone in person. So if I were to go up to you, Daymond, if we were to meet in person, if I were to run into you on the street and I said, hey, Daymond, huge fan of your show. Can you give me some advice? What should I do next in my business? You're not going to say, hey, man, do this. You're going to say, well, do you have a business? You're going to ask me a series of questions. Your quiz funnel is approximate. The funnel that you have online is doing what you would naturally do if you were having a conversation with people in person, one at a time. But instead of doing it one at a time, you're able to do it hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people every single week having that same conversation. So absolutely, you can use this in your personal life. You can use this in personal meetings. It's the exact same process that you would follow if you're having a one-on-one conversation with someone, in regular life.
Well, it's a great negotiation tactic. A lot of people, I always say that you have to negotiate, or converse like you have your face is built, one mouth and two ears. You listen twice as much as you speak. And a lot of times people go in the room and they sell by just blurting out what they have. No, this is what I have. What do you think? Instead of saying, what's your challenge? Hey, are you into these type of things? And that's exactly what you're doing. So I love to simplify it, and hopefully people get it and they'll be able to use it. So Man, I appreciate. And you have any questions for me? Because I'm sitting there asking you all the questions. You
Yeah.
know,
You know, my question for you is, you know, you've learned a little bit about this. Maybe we'll talk about maybe like a real time case study. Where do you see in all the businesses you got going on, all the projects you've got going